that it will be. Somebody
You're
wrote down
live.
Eric. So Eric wrote down another brutal day. But you know what I think?
What?
It ain't gonna get better next week. I think that we're in for a doozy. What is it? March tears brings April joy. Is that
Uh,
what?
I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not either.
I think you
Gold
might have
saved
just
my portfolio this
made it
week.
up. April,
I think
something about April showers.
it brings me. I hope. Hello, everybody. I'm George.
I'm Tom. Welcome to Talking Investing.
That's what we're doing. We're talking investing.
We're,
Hopefully, you guys had a great week.
I think if they were like me, they had a really good first half of the week, and then not so much the second half of the week.
You know what's sad? I haven't even looked at. Okay, I'm gonna pull up. I just decided I'm not looking at my Bitcoin miner stocks anymore because it's too depressing. So I haven't done that. So I should probably do that.
Well, it was not depressing on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday, we got run over by the bus. Hey, Eric. Thanks for joining us.
Let's see. Oh, whoa. Well, remember that money I made on that other stock? Yeah, I gave it back to somebody.
That's how it works.
So that's why it's not that bad for me. Bitfarms, $3.45. Is that a misprint?
That is not a misprint. James Dean says, love Tom, but his predictions have been absurdly horrible this year.
Hey, I can't argue with you there.
Yep, well, the year's just begun, so yes, that's true. So far, things haven't started moving yet, but I feel good about my portfolio.
You sold me an Argo.
Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate it.
Best you. Thank you. Yeah, that's the good news. I think this is what I was telling Tom. I think that we're gonna witness some of the lowest Bitcoin numbers we've seen in a long time. And I listen, you guys. I don't know if you guys know XRP or anything like that, or if you have any XRP fans here. XRP is a cryptocurrency, and I'm a big fan of XRP. And don't you find it interesting the day they're supposed to release information on XRP that they announce the information on the cryptocurrency coming out, the rules and regulations in America? Wow.
Coincidence?
I think not. I think has to be the diamond hands. I think this is where you earn your money.
This is a hard time. I mean, James Dean is right. I mean, this has been a tough year. And the end of this week, some of the Bitcoin stocks are just going to follow Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is strangely just glued to the NASDAQ still. And that boggles my mind. There's no line of reasoning for that to be true, but it's completely true. So the NASDAQ's been getting beat up. Bitcoin got beat up worse. I mean, Thursday and Friday were a mess. And, some of the small cap stocks I feel good about. I'm still dollar cost averaging in because who mentioned? Oh, Eric. Yes, on Arrow, I'm every time that goes down, I'm dollar cost averaging in. I mean, they're giving shares of that stock away. It's down 90%. It's oversold beyond belief, and if they want to keep overselling it, I'm just going to keep buying it. I've got 4 stocks now that their market... Go ahead.
Is Arrow that company that had like 77 million and their $44 million market cap? Is that the one?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. They've got like 50% more net cash than their market cap. And they just put out a nice press release. And, they said their fourth quarter was their best quarter, and they expect this year to be better. So, I mean, the bar's pretty low when your stock's down 90%. I can't, and your market cap is half your cash. net cash, net of your, debt. So I've never come across this. I keep finding more and more of them. It's like those are, to me, I'm buying those, unless if there's something fundamentally wrong and you can see it's a company going out of business and burning through cash at a fast rate, then that's a different story. But if it's a company that's on the right track and it's trading at less than market cap is less than net cash, I'm finding these in this market. I've never found them before in the stock market, and I don't know. I cannot believe that is the new normal. It makes no sense at all. Things trade at multiples, not less.
Well, I think you're just speaking of Tesla or Apple.
Well, exactly. Tesla, Apple, Amazon.
What about Intel?
Amazon's hanging around its 52-week low. Hold on. I don't know why I'm on Krispy Kreme donut. Yahoo just sent me there. Or I'm hungry.
He wants a donut.
So they're up a little bit. They're $300 off of their 52-week low, which they hit just a little while ago. But they're even at that, they're at a 47 PE. I mean, you got the other, and that's a $1.5 trillion company. Arrow's worth $77 million. I mean, we should just buy it
and split it up. Make 30 million.
Yeah, what's
right?
The number keeps getting bigger and bigger. So they got $44 million market cap. Just so you guys see what I'm talking about. And they have $77 million in cash. They have no debt, $1 million in debt.
Wait a second. Is this like Tether cash?
No, this is cash. This is U.S. American dollars. A point their CEO reiterated in the letter that he wrote a few days ago. We are sitting on $77 million, and we have some good plans for them. And they got a market cap of $44 million. I never saw anything like it. What do they do? They're a small cap, special purpose EV company. It's like a last mile delivery type of a electric vehicle. They're convertible into like food trucks, and they've got one that is vaccine ready. You know, it can store things at -100 degrees. They got all kinds of stuff, and they've got, in their sales, they're early stages. This is not financial advice, but they're a very early stage company, and they haven't done their thing yet. But I mean, less than cash? Come on.
So what you're saying is you like this stock better than, what was it? ELIN? What was the one?
Oh,
the Susan whatever.
I was gonna try to be nice and not talk about that stock.
Who wants to be nice? It's not the world anymore. The world's not a nice place anymore.
We have a bunch of people that started following the channel that are fans of XELA.
That's it. XELA.
So here's what I would say about XELA. If everybody rallies and we all join hands and buy the stock at the same time, maybe it could run up.
Oh, it's one of those.
How about that? It's on. This is a Wall Street Bets situation. Period. So, and it could happen. It has happened. That stock has run up numerous times. So it probably will happen again, but it does not have anything at all to do with its fundamentals.
And that's what you like?
When I look at a company and every single fundamental I look at is bad news and getting worse, I usually don't invest in those. But having said that, if you look at most of the Wall Street Bets successful companies, the ones that the stock was successful in having a massive run up, They were not tied at all to fundamentals. I mean, AMC is an awful company. Sorry for everybody out there who's invested in AMC, and you might be making a lot of money on it. One thing's got not. That's the thing. One thing's got nothing to do with the other. The investment might be great because, you know, apes, but the stock, the company, is not good. They're not good. I didn't do it, but I was just getting ready to buy a bunch of puts on AMC way back, right before Wall Street Bets picked it up. I had 3 stocks that I thought were the worst 3 stocks in the stock market, and AMC was one of them. And then thankfully, before I wasted my money buying puts on them, they exploded and I let it go. But that's how bad that company was. I searched everywhere, and it was one of the worst 3 stocks I could find, in my opinion.
So let's talk about Bitcoin. That's what most people are here for, anyways. What in the world's going on with Bitcoin?
I figured everybody.
How much is this is geopolitical? How much is this is just following the Nasdaq?
Yeah, let's hear some comments, because definitely, I don't know, you know, there's a lot going on in the world, as all of you guys probably know. And for any of our Canadian friends, I know we have a lot of Canadian viewers. Maybe you can give us the inside scoop on what the level of tension is up there, and how that whole situation is going.
Yeah, the level of tension, and have you been able to get your money out of the bank? And do you own any cryptocurrency? Russia not going to invade. I hope not. Supposedly they've been doing this for 8 years now.
Nate, I'm not saying the fundamentals of Arrow are bad. I'm sorry. I'm saying the fundamentals of the other company that a bunch of people were asking me about were tough. The fundamentals on Arrow are, you know, some of them are neutral and some of them are excellent. When you look at particularly their cash position versus their cash burn rate, and their growth is strong. They still have a long way to go, but they're an early stage company. So I have a high level of conviction in Arrow. So, you know, you guys can do your own due diligence, but I am buying every dip, every substantial dip.
So why would, just riddle me this, Batman. Did you wear your Batman shirt?
I got it on underneath.
Oh, good. Why would the hedge funds beat it up so bad? Just why would they? Because they know that EV stocks are going to pump, and they just figured get as low as they possibly can.
If you look at, and now some of the large cap EV stocks are getting hit, but we are almost one full year into, I can't even call it a bear market. We're in a depressed stock market from a small cap standpoint. I have hundreds of small caps that are down between 70 and 90%. So that is not typical in any market. And, you know, for me to be able to find 100 stocks right now that are down more than 70% in the last 6 to 8 months, that's a little bit worse than a bear market.
So you're saying we're already in a bear market, and we've been in a bear market for almost a year?
When you look at the indexes, when you look at the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq and even the Russell, it doesn't look like we're in a bear market at all. It doesn't even look like we're in a correction in some of those, although we're just kind of in correction territory. But I'm saying, if you're looking at small cap stocks, anything, even all the way up to $2 billion, these stocks have been taken out. I mean, in the past, when I saw a stock down 90%, it was just for a brief moment on its way to being down 100%. Now, it's fairly common to find a stock down 90%. That I have a high confidence in is going to continue and has enough cash that I know they're going to continue for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years because they have the cash to do it. Nobody's going out of business with, $100 million in the bank and
So
no
are you
debt.
saying
Sorry.
are you saying that normally when a company goes down 90%, they go out of business?
Right. Being down 90% is a checkpoint, a quick stop along the way to going out of business in the past. But that's not what's happening anymore. These stocks are getting taken out, and the EV sector is very unique. There's about 6 stocks that stand alone, and they are anywhere from large cap to, Tesla's one of the largest companies in the world. But then all the rest of the EV stocks, the straight plays, and the ones that are just in that ecosystem and environment, they've all been taken out. The best ones are down 70%. They're mostly down 80 or 90%. I'll tell you another one I just bought today. So I'll give a spoiler alert because I'm pretty sure I bought it in the 10K challenge. XL Fleet. They are trading at less than their net cash. They're down 30% they're down 32% in the last 30 days on no news whatsoever. And by the way, they were at their 52-week low a month ago. And now they're down 32%.
I thought we were moving into the electric vehicle phase of the United States history in 2030.
Well, somebody didn't get the memo, or somebody didn't pass out the memo. These stocks, and this goes to my point, like, it's going to be, I don't know how long this lasts, right? Picking a bottom is impossible. And whenever you think it's the bottom, they're just going to bring some more pain to you. But ultimately, if you look at these stocks over a period of time, and I know the world's attention span, myself included, has shrunk drastically. But with stocks, if you're going to pick value stocks like that, you've got to be willing to give them a year or 2 years. And I feel, comfortable in 3 to 5 years, Arrow could easily 10x. Could also go down another 25% in the next month. So for another month, I'm going to look like an idiot. Or 2, or I don't know how many. But talk to me in 18 months when my $1 stock's trading for $4.50. It's hard, but that is very, as you guys all know, it is hard to hold those stocks through thick and thin like that.
Well, before we get into Bitcoin, you're getting a shout out for your CleanSpark video, by the way. The creator shows great interview with CleanSpark, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks from whoever that was. Yeah, that was...
Go ahead. I have a question. Just as Bitcoin miners, as the world gets beat up here more and more, and if Bitcoin stays around, just hovering around what it's hovering at, does their profitability change at all? Or no, this profitability, I guess it changes a little, but they're still making, most companies make what, 10 to 15% bottom line? And Bitcoin is probably going to make these companies? What do you think?
From industry to industry, your gross profit and your net income can vary quite a bit. And I used to be an auditor, so I've seen pretty much every industry there is. And all of you guys as investors, I'm sure, look at financials and you see all the different numbers. But, the Bitcoin right now, even at 40,000, these guys are... Most of the Bitcoin miners that we talk about are still somewhere in the 80% or more gross profit, and they're going to be in the 50% net income, which is a grand slam home run. So now, if you think Bitcoin's going down to 22,000, that'll be a little bit of a different story. But if it can stay plus or minus 40,
but it would still, even if it went to say 25,000. Wouldn't it still be the highest profit margin industry out there?
No, it would. They would still make money, but software as a service has a very, very high profit margin.
Okay.
There are some other industries that have high gross profit, and look at the biggest companies in the world. If you look at Apple, that's why they trade on such an inconceivable multiple. Their gross profit and net income is staggering, but it's no better than the Bitcoin miners. In fact, it's not as good as the Bitcoin miners if Bitcoin stays at a healthy price. But the Bitcoin miners can survive. The big thing is, and one of the biggest questions I always get is, who should I move into? Because, a lot of these aren't going to survive. And some of them may not survive. I know people are really worried about the very small ones, but most of these companies are working on a business model where anything north of Bitcoin, like 22,000, and they can survive for as long as they want. So, and for me, I don't think that's where Bitcoin's headed. Even if it were to bounce off some ridiculously low number, I mean, if you zoom out, Bitcoin has done nothing but go up in a straight line from the big picture standpoint since it started.
Not since you started your show.
2021 was a very tough year for Bitcoin, and it was a very tough year for the stock market. Retail traders know that. I mean, if you guys probably have a lot of different YouTubers that you watch, and they're all singing the blues because this was no fun this last year. And January of 2022 was worse than 2021 was. So, I feel like we're still in 2021. We haven't segued to that next section. Although I will tell you, I definitely on the small cap, high growth stocks, these stocks that are down 70, 80, 90%, I already feel a big rotation coming into those stocks. And that's why I'm starting to buy them more and more. I don't know when the bottom is. It may take some, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, but in my personal opinion, I feel that rotation happening in a big way. And one of the things is some of the big stocks. I did a video on this just today. I posted it a little while ago. There's some big companies now that are getting taken out. So the large cap stocks are now starting to feel the pain that we've been feeling for the last year. So I'll just show you a couple. I mean, and this isn't even a large cap stock. DraftKings is at $7 billion. It was at its all-time low yesterday, and today it's down 21% from that. Square is at its 52-week low. Intel's at its 52-week low and 4-year low. And there's more. PayPal hit it crashed, and it's been going down every day. It hits a new 52-week low. Facebook, same thing. There's big companies that are getting, this was today. Somebody else was today. Who else was today? Oh, yeah. Roku is now a $15 billion company because they're not $490 anymore. They're $112, down 22% today. This is what we've been. How many days, with our stocks did we see this over the last year? So
could this be part of the Great Reset?
I think it's definitely part of a rotation. I think this is showing, and these aren't even the gigantic stocks, but look at.
Oh, you pull that up. Hey, if you like the stream, please hit the like button. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Please like and subscribe. PayPal, right? They're a $120 billion company. And they used to be a $300 billion company.
You know why this is?
This last 12 months.
Wait, do you know why this is?
No.
eBay is kicking them to the curb.
I know, but these guys are so many multiples larger than eBay. Well,
really?
You're right. eBay is going to do their own service. You're exactly right. That is one of the catalysts that dropped this down. They're going to process their own payments, which, it's surprising it took them this long to do.
I know, I thought so.
But if PayPal was that wrapped up in just one company that their stock goes from 300 to 100, this is a $120 billion company, which means it was a $300 billion company. It's one of the biggest companies in the world.
and they were taken out.
Even at 120 billion, it's an ultra large cap stock.
So, in your normal traditional fundamentals, where would this normally trade at?
I just want to say thanks, Barry. Appreciate it.
Did you hear that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Where would you say that these normally would trade at before the great climb of, like, what was it? When it happened? 2012, I guess. Before the great climb of the stock market, where would this normally have traded at? Where would you say is a comfortable PE ratio on this?
Well, you can look. It's now, that's the funny thing about PayPal. It's at a 29 PE ratio, which I consider normal for this type of a company. They're still a growth company. I'm just going to see what the analysts think, but you can see they're anticipating 20% growth next year. They had 15 or 16% this year. So this is still a growth company. They have high gross profit margins. So I could live with a 29% PE, but that means it used to be 100.
Wow.
I can't ever wrap my mind around 100 PE. I just want to read what Barry has to say. Thanks for the super chat. I suggested looking at PAXG gold-backed crypto and storing on Celsius for 5.5% APY. I'm going to have to look into that. You know, I still have not started getting paid for my cryptocurrency as far as just, exactly this scenario, what you're talking about.
Barry, maybe you can answer this question because nobody can answer this question. And when I read all the rules and regulations of how you invest your crypto, it says that you could lose all your crypto when you do this. And I don't understand why. And nobody can answer the reason why I could lose my crypto if I stake it. I can't. Does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense why I would lose.
I'm going to give you a general answer to that because I read a very long article on this and I really don't remember it specifically enough. This is a part of my problem with crypto. It's so technical that, I have a hard time keeping it all sorted out in my head. But essentially, these companies this is like staking your crypto, but they use it for other stuff. So if they use it and lose it, that's a risk. That's one of the big reasons the Bitcoin miners are only very slowly getting yield on their Bitcoin because they don't want to put that at risk, even if it's a small risk. I think it's a small risk. I haven't seen an example yet where people got wiped out and lost their money, but I don't know. I mean, is it one of those things that's just building and building and building, and one day all of a sudden, the dominoes fall? I'm not sure. Getting 5.5% on your money for nothing is a beautiful thing,
Nice.
But you gotta.
Yeah, that's nice. I could live off of that.
Susan says,
Susan, why are you? Oh my goodness, Susan.
Welcome back.
You're the bearer of bad news. So, you were saying they use it, but they were saying that was like more for a proof of work, and that they use it for transactions. So, I mean, are they lending it out, or are they just using it for mining?
I honestly, I don't even want to pretend that I know any more than I don't remember. I remember there was a way that, it was getting lent and then they could lend it and then, they could leverage and another person could lend it. And there was some series of events that seemed a little scary to me. And I don't know that that's how they all work, but there is some risk for those that think that, you can stake your money and get paid. However small it is, and it may be very small, it's not FDIC insured like the bank. Now, obviously, nobody's putting their money in the bank anymore because you're getting 0.01% on your money. You might as well put it under your mattress. So, I'm not suggesting that.
Especially if you're in Canada.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I am suggesting that. Brandon, thank you very much. I appreciate it. That was nice of them to come on the channel. He said great CleanSpark interview. So for those of you who didn't see, I got a chance to sit down with Isaac, who's Vice President of Communications for CleanSpark. And I thought we had a nice talk. He's a very enthusiastic guy. He did invite us to go tour the facility. So I think that's something we're probably going to do. It's in Georgia, so.
It's in Atlanta. Atlanta. Nate brings up any relative strength. I thought he was talking about any of the stock. When AMD recently confirmed by. I have no idea how to even answer that. Is he talking about any of the stock?
Yeah.
3D? Oh.
Yes, he is.
Well, you want to talk about any now?
Let me just first say thanks to Barry again for another super chat. I appreciate it. Let's just talk about that, and then we'll go back to any. The worry is the exchange goes bust, gets hacked. Celsius is insured and pretty safe as far as I can see. Centralized exchange, so more like a bank. So yeah, I mean that one. You know what, Barry? I will definitely look at that and bring it up again on next week's live stream, because I know it's nice to get. I hate having money sit getting zero when there's options like this out there. So that one, this sounds like a good one, and I know I mean I've heard of Celsius. I know Celsius, so I'll look into that more. So is it PAXG that they're offering that on, or do they have other cryptocurrencies that they're offering different rates on? Felix is saying bear trap. Bear trap in the whole market overall, or in cryptocurrency? What are you thinking? Eric's saying Biden is looking for war. Yeah, I hate these geopolitical deals because they mess with our investing. So everybody needs to just get along so the stock market can go up. So let's look at Bitcoin. We haven't really even looked at what happened. So I just want to at least go through what happened the last couple of days, because the last 2 days were not good. I'm sure you all noticed. So I made 2 orange lines. Hopefully everybody can see this, my screen. This orange line was the close. This is where Bitcoin was when the equity markets in the United States closed on Wednesday. This is where Bitcoin was when the equity markets closed yesterday. And now you can see we're down here, and we touched this line. And in my video yesterday, I said, I hope, please, let's hold this red line right here at least. So at the moment, we have bounced off of that, but, you know, it's still pretty close. So I don't love the direction. So just from the close of the day on Wednesday, the close of the equity markets, until let's go to the low today. So that was 10.6% in 2 days. So that's a correction right there. That's a very quick and painful correction. Which is why, you know, I didn't think it was yesterday the Bitcoin miners held their own because that was the big gap. From Wednesday to Thursday was a bad day. And the miners didn't react. I mean, they were all way down, don't get me wrong, but they were almost more 1-to-1 down with Bitcoin. But today they caught up, and they had a rough day, a lot of them today. Some of them did all right. Hive was only down 2.48%. CleanSpark got crushed, but I've been mentioning CleanSpark ran up way ahead of everybody over the last couple weeks. So I think some of that is just you know, everything's settling itself out. And that's my argument for options trading. Although I don't like to trade short-term options, I do some of that because of those kinds of fluctuations. When a CleanSpark runs so far out ahead of everybody else, first it was far behind everybody else, which is why I got into options, and then it ran way ahead of everybody else. So, and a lot, you know, I'm just using CleanSpark as an example. These guys all do that. They tend to have a mind of their own.
I've heard this bear trap scenario too, but I think that the next few weeks are going to be an interesting thing in the crypto world. Because remember, I called 1 trillion. I still stand by that number.
Oh, you think the crypto market's going down to $1 trillion?
I've been saying that for...
That's a beat down. That's still a big. That's a big road down from here. So Barry's saying, just to close the loop on that, there's a lot of different rates depending on the coin or token, but PAXG is gold. Exchange direct for gold at jewelers. I think you get around 8.5% on USDC Tether. Oh, don't get George started.
I know.
Tether, there seems to be some questions around.
Tether is a very interesting... I went deep into understanding Tether and understanding where or what's going on. And I believe that Tether is more involved in the commercial real estate market or the residential real estate market in China than they are telling us. And they do not have anybody that I know of that has verified any of their quote unquote stableness that is their coin. So when you have a stable coin, it's supposed to be backed by a currency 1 for 1. So that means if it's a $1 coin, if you said you have a $30 billion holding, then you have $30 billion of cash. In this case, we can use like Binance as a great example, I guess, where they say they're worth, what are they worth, Tom? Do you have that up? I can find it if I don't.
You want to, let's go to...
What's their stable? You can just do like live coin or...
Yeah, I was going to go to CoinGecko or...
CoinGecko. Is it PMB?
Yeah. Yeah, so they have their little American one down here.
Okay, we'll look at it.
But
pull
this
it
is
up,
the real one.
And what's their cap? I mean, what's their holdings? Does it say?
Circulating supply. Market cap is almost $67 billion.
That's not their stable coin, though. Their stable... Is it?
No,
so anyways, there's...
I think you were looking at this one. This is at 99 cents.
Yeah.
This is
so their stable coin, so that means they have, $18 billion sitting someplace.
Right.
So that
theoretically, that's what it should mean.
Right. And that means, and I believe that's US dollars. So that's 18 billion US dollars. Versus Tether, if you remember, they got in trouble from the New York Attorney General, and they settled, and they now say that it's equivalent. So they no longer say it's a dollar for dollar backing. They say it's equivalent. So that's the problem I have with it.
So in other words, they could have different assets,
right,
that may or may not be devaluing, and then all of a sudden they could get in trouble that way.
And then you go one step further, and you hear all the information of what's going on with Greenidge. What was it? They're the main builder over there. What was it called? Green something or another. Does anybody know?
I was reading comments. Yeah. What were you saying?
Yeah, so they have a builder that is basically going defunct.
Oh, yeah.
Green, it's something green.
Now that you said green, it's...
Green something, I can't remember. And so, that I think is just going to be part of of the unraveling of the crypto market, and I would imagine it's going to happen relatively soon.
We're
Yeah, see
getting.
the property, Mr. Coleman, he has a serious comment and not a joke, and that is, the property sector in China is going to crash the global economy in the next year or so, and I believe that's a very safe bet. At what degree it does, I don't know.
Just reading
Tom,
Nate's
when did you
comment.
first buy? Did you? Oh, I went back. Tom, when did you first buy Bitfarms? You've played a part of my conviction of this great company. It's only a matter of time.
I mean, I was buying
Argentina.
Bitfarms over the counter because it didn't, it was trading on the Toronto exchange. So now it's on the Nasdaq, of course. So I'm in the U.S., so I buy it on the Nasdaq now. So yeah, I have a very high level of conviction in Bitfarms. They're and they're at some point we usually talk about who's the most undervalued. Right now, with the action that's happened in this last week, I think Bitfarms is now the most undervalued Bitcoin miner, in my opinion.
I'm buying XY now. You know what? You know what's funny is I think last weekend Biden said the exact same thing, that Russia was invading Ukraine. Um, I don't know. I follow. You're gonna laugh, but I'm a TikTok person, and I follow a person that she could be anywhere from the age of 16 to 35. I don't know, but she goes, "I will give you an update every day on Ukraine." And oh, they threw a missile in. Guess what? They've been throwing missiles into Ukraine for the last 8 years. So that was why I was like, wow.
Eric's,
Biden said he,
go
he
ahead.
thinks Putin's already made his decision and an invasion is coming. I think that, I hate to say this. I mean, my personal feeling about Bitcoin would be that if there's a war, that Bitcoin is going to skyrocket. Do you disagree with that?
I just that's using logic, and so far that hasn't always necessarily worked out so well.
True.
I mean, that's what makes sense to me, but you know, I'm trying to guess is a tricky business right now.
Yeah. And I will tell you that I would be careful with XY. That's all I can say about XY. We know it very well, and it's a very lucrative stock to buy. But I think that stock is not. It's you're just playing your odds. Make sure you do your research on it. That's all I can really say about it.
Nate's saying, just to pick up on Nate, I think his previous comment is off the board now, but he was saying we're still in a mid-cycle and he's expecting a bull run, and I agree with that. And I think the miners are going to have, I mean, I still have conviction that the miners are going to have a big run up. It's taking forever, and this is exactly how they do it. It's just what they've done to all the other small cap high growth stocks. They've beaten the life and the will out of all the retail investors. But I mean, the fundamentals for Bitcoin are super strong. They're the strongest they've ever been, and the adoption just continues. So you
So
know,
my theory, unless like war breaks out and something changes, I don't think Bitcoin's going to have a run in the next at least 15 days, because I believe that Bitcoin is somehow or another tied to the lunar cycle. And I
oh
know it's
brother,
crazy. It's crazy. But we had a full moon yesterday, and now look
he's
where Bitcoin is. I just don't think that it's going to pump until, um, for 14 more days. That's when the new moon arrives. It's a weird one,
the
I'm sure.
opinions of Tom and George are not necessarily shared by the network.
They're not shared by either one of us either. He doesn't agree with us. He doesn't agree with us. But I mean, there has to be something that everybody can agree on, that Bitcoin is trading. Like right now, we can all agree that Bitcoin is following Nasdaq. You agree with that?
I mean, there's no question about it. It's
Yeah,
the closest correlation that it's ever been.
right.
And
So why would that be? Why? I mean, why?
I can't think of one reason why it would be correlated to the Nasdaq in specific. It's
Right.
being treated like a tech stock. It's being treated like technology, but
If somebody could answer me that,
it's no
then I
different.
could.
That's like treating a construction company like technology because they have, they use an accounting software and they use software to manage their jobs. It's like they're not a technology company. They use technology, and cryptocurrency's primary function is not, particularly Bitcoin. It's not as a technology. It's not as a technology equity type of a stock. Its long term, in my opinion, its long term value is as a store of value. It is the only commodity that has an exact limited supply, and it's even worse than a limited supply because every time one gets lost, it's lost forever. So it actually has a diminishing, although we're not done mining it yet. There's only 10% left to mine. I think there's already more than 10% that's been lost. So, it's got a diminishing amount of.
The moon equals the price. I'm a wacko. I don't mind that. You know. But this is the whole thing. And do you think Warren Buffett's analogy, if you buy a stock today, you have to plan on holding it for 10 years? Do you think that still is true today, or do you think that's different? That we should do it differently?
Want me to take that one, and you guys
Yeah,
can feel
yeah,
free to
no,
answer as well.
yeah. I mean,
I think 10 years. 10 years is a long time. And there's, certain stocks, but the world is changing very fast right now. So, 3 to 5, to me, I consider myself a long-term investor, but in my mind, that's 3 to 5 years. 10 years, 20 years, I'm just not sure things are going to work that way. Now, if you look at the last 10 or 20 years, if you would have bought Apple 15 years ago, if you would have bought Amazon 15 years ago. But the thing is, it's easy to say that now. Those are the two that won. There's 1,000 other stocks that if you would have bought them 15 years ago, they're gone. Not even if you would have bought Yahoo 15 years ago, Yahoo doesn't even trade as a stock anymore. So, there's winners and losers.
anybody from Canada watching the stream? There's winners and losers. What are you doing?
Yeah, we're waiting for Manuel says, let's have Elon Musk tweet Bitfarms.
Not much. That's the next.
The Elon Musk effect is real. So if you're watching, which you're not, tweet Bitfarms.
What do you mean he's not? We can find out where he is right now.
Ryan is saying it's being treated like Bitcoin's being treated like a risk-on asset, which is, you're right, that's what's happening, but that is baffling to me because to me it is the definition of a risk-off asset. You can point to its volatility, but again, if you just zoom out, Bitcoin has dominated every other asset over the last 10 years beyond belief.
So we have two people from Canada that I can see. What is the situation in Canada right now? Can you please? We only get news feed of what's going on in Canada, and to us, it looks like there's crazy things going on in Canada right now. And I know it's in Ottawa, but what's the overall? Or is it just like probably the same way in Ukraine, where the town's closest to the border, closest to the area where there's a problem? I'm just curious. Elon buyout. I don't know when he's flying. He's been staying over in California. He doesn't come to Florida too often.
He could buy
He likes
that
Texas and California.
wallet.
His wallet?
And yeah, anybody's still got a wallet?
No.
East Coast Server is saying, I think he's talking about Warren Buffett. He buys Kraft and Coke, and that's right. You know, there's still the, I'm going to call them old-fashioned blue chip stocks, the stocks that are in the Dow. I don't even, if you guys watch the channel, you'll know I don't even ever mention the Dow. The 30 stocks in the Dow, I have not bought one of those in a decade. So, and I guess maybe that's, you know, that's your buy and hold for 20 years. You know, if you bought and hold, let me tell you this, if you bought and held Coke, McDonald's, Home Depot, so those Dow stocks in the last 15 or 20 years, those would have been the best investments you could make. Right? McDonald's went from trading, Microsoft went from 25 to, you know, I think Microsoft 10x, Apple 10x, Home Depot 10x.
Don't forget what 20x. Did it 20x? Or actually, it might have went more than that. Google,
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
Google,
they're not a Dow stock, but they're one of the biggest stocks.
There is no problem.
Oh, thoughts on the any Sphere 3D? I will tell you, I remain massively skeptical.
I tried to call the company that supposedly verified that this machine was real, but I haven't been able to track that down yet. They're over in South Korea. So I'm just curious if, like who are their suppliers? Where are they getting their chips from? What chips are they using? Is it the chips that are making the speed quicker, or is it the software that's making this, these mining capabilities?
I'm not even saying the machine doesn't exist. I'm saying my specific problem with the press release that they put out is they said it's 4.5x times more profitable than the current leading Bitcoin mining machine. And they're going to have to plug in 10,000 of those and prove it before I believe that. Because essentially that means every single Bitcoin mining machine on the entire Bitcoin network will basically instantly become obsolete. A 450% jump in one step is, I mean, that's like the Industrial Revolution. So they could have a 440, terahash machine. That's just making a big machine. But for it to be 4.5x more profitable is the problem that I have with what they're saying. Yes. Does the AMD purchase intrigue you in terms of the implications for any? I mean, I'm watching it closely. I'm not investing yet. And the other thing is, this any Griffin thing is, that's still lingering out there. There's just a lot of moving parts on this.
I'm going to move to Portugal for free tax break. Is that where we can go? Portugal?
Ryan, what's going to tank? Oh, the whole market?
If it tanks, it's not going to tank until November. If it tanks. Did you hear me use the word if?
Yeah, Nate.
Actually, no, when is probably better.
If that turns out to be true, Nate, it is a game changer. So no doubt that will be a wow, and it won't be long before,
There's a delay. They're not making second quarter, so they're saying there's going to be. Now think about this. They said they're going to get 10 to try out sometime in June, right? and then third quarter they were gonna get, the first 10,000, and then the fourth quarter they were gonna get the rest or something of that. There will be a delay, guaranteed.
Well, that's the other hard part is the machine. Clearly, the machine has not started production yet. They're going to try to get them 12 by June. I am waiting. I'm definitely waiting to hear what Intel, sometime before the end of this month, they're going to roll out what they did. I've read several different things from them, and they are very, very confusing. I did get some confirmation that it is an ASIC mining chip, but if you read what they put out, they're almost ambiguous about that, and I can't. The speed does not look like it's going to be. I don't know.
It's a rounding error. We figured it out.
Intel. Here's what I will say: Intel is a monster. So if they have committed themselves to this, if they don't have it right yet, my guess is they will sooner than later.
So you're saying buy Intel?
Spoiler alert, I'm looking to buy Intel. So, yes, for a lot of reasons, and that's one of them. One of the things they said, well, the whole ASIC market put together is not material compared to the size of Intel. And Intel is gigantic. I mean, Intel is bigger than people realize. And for those of you who are the older part of the crowd, more my age, you'll remember that at one time, there was just Intel. That was it. There was AMD, but that was for the garbage machines that, if you just needed something, the cheapest thing they had, you bought the AMD chip. Intel was universally considered the superior chip. And that has changed dramatically over time. But what I don't think people know is, although AMD has gotten very popular and their chips are excellent, Intel is still a much, much bigger company than AMD is.
Yeah, that's what I just got the thing saying that Biden just said that. Russia will. I called him up and I told him, invade already. Sorry. Not me. My numbers are tanking over here. Throw me a bone.
Yeah, you're right. AMD could be the play on that as well. AMD has already had a nice run up, but if they've got a game changer, Intel is trading. I'm just gonna bring it up because really, there you go. So Intel's a $183 billion company. It's trading at a 9 PE, which reminds me, I want to talk about something after this on PEs. But if you look at AMD's trading on a 44 PE. So I almost feel like they've already got good news priced in. Right? They're almost the same market cap as Intel, and they're nowhere near the same size company. So we'll see. I mean, probably, look, this is, it's dead in the middle of its 52-week range. Nowhere near its low, but nowhere near its high either. So I guess there's a lot of room to run on AMD. If it's been to 164 within the last 52 weeks. So I'm going to talk about Tom Nash for a second. Who knows who Tom Nash is? He's a YouTuber. He's an investment YouTuber. He's one of the biggest ones, and I watch him, and I like his channel. But he said something. I think he had a moment of anger, and he recorded a video on his phone and posted it. And he was talking about how people who talk about PE ratios are stupid and ignorant, and nobody pays attention to that. And the only thing that matters is price to sales. And I'm just giving my public service announcement. Both price to sales and PE ratios have to be put into a larger context. Neither one of those is better than the other one, and neither one of them alone is meaningful. You guys know how to do your due diligence. That's a piece of a puzzle. If you just went on price sales, which is what he said, you could get decimated, because every company in every industry has a different gross profit, has a different net income. Also, there's some companies that don't make money, and they're never going to make money. So if all you're doing is trading on price sales, you're dead. Right? At least with PE, you know they make money because it's price to earnings, i.e. they have earnings. Well, you'll see a lot of companies don't have a PE ratio, and that is because they don't make any money. So, at some point, typically with startup companies, high growth companies, newer companies, you have to look at price sales because they're still in the stage where they're not making any money yet. So there is no PE ratio. But once you can look at both of them, those are both meaningful numbers. So that's my, because I know, when Tom Nash says something like that, I know 100,000 people watch it, and, they're going to run out and follow that news. So I guess I would just say, this is not financial advice, but I would be careful about just trading on price sales, because you got to do your full due diligence on a stock before you buy it.
What happens if this whole thing that with any is not true, and you buy it because it is true? You just sue them and get your money back?
Well, I don't know if you're going to get your money back. If it's not true and their stock plummets, they're not going to have any money. I think we're going to find out there's some middle ground. There's a new machine. It does something. It's an improvement. It's probably not done yet. It's going to take longer than we think. But that's my personal opinion. Maybe they're just going to they're going to shock everybody and knock it out of the park.
Which we hope. Not
hey,
really.
Innovation, if the innovation is here, then bring it on. That's reality.
So then would that make it so they would mine coins faster overall, or no? It wouldn't really change.
They'll be mining. It'll be hard for anybody to keep up with those machines. I think they bought 60,000 of those machines. If they're 4.5x more profitable, they're going to dominate the network. So their cost per coin is going to be drastically, if someone else has a $6,000 cost per coin, that means they have a $1,500 cost per coin. And where that's really going to kick in is, when we do the halving in 2024, the reward gets cut in half. So if you have a machine that's, 4 times more profitable, that machine is going to work so much better in that environment that the old machines will be of no value.
Is it true that you're thinking about getting out of trading stocks for the whole year of 2022?
Are you asking me that question?
Yeah. Meet Kevin. Are you going to do a Meet Tom?
No.
Okay.
I am not getting, no. You guys probably all know Meet Kevin as well, and, he's doing his thing. I feel like he just does that stuff to get views. It makes no sense to exit the stock market completely. That's not a legitimate trading strategy. Well, what would be legitimate is maybe he's made enough money where he just doesn't need to put any of it at risk anymore. So if that's the case and he's taking his money out, then that's what he should tell people. Listen, I'm so filthy rich at this point, I'm not putting any more of my money at risk because I don't need to.
We never even really talked about Bitcoin.
Not much.
Never got into your charts and your pressure and
everybody's been talking about other things. I don't want to ignore the Logan. Logan is saying new miner is starting to look like a straight scam. I saw that they had to have their share price at a certain level to be able to move forward with the merger.
Aha.
Oh, all right. Well, I can neither confirm nor deny that. Yeah, here. Now, what Nate just said next. Contracted 60K, all received by March 2023. And this is another one of my issues. They then have a second 60,000 that they have the right to, and first right of refusal for every machine they ever manufacture. So that is the second piece of the puzzle that I have a problem with. Why did they sell them 60,000 machines worth $1.7 billion on a $29 million deposit? They lent them the rest of the money, basically extended them credit for the rest of the money, and gave them first right of refusal to buy every machine they ever make forever, which means nobody else will ever have one of those machines. That is just one of those deals where it's too, when they say it's too good to be true, if that deal is true, it's the best deal than any. Just made the best deal that I've ever seen since Bill Gates made his deal with IBM and took over the world.
What's 10 BP mean? Peanut butter?
PB and J?
Well, a storage mining for fun with 10 PB. Yeah, I don't know what PB is. Oh, maybe that's like a hash rate. Is that a hash rate? Because we're so used to seeing terahash and exahash.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But
I'm not,
getting
yeah.
out, just holding investing these days. Yeah. Yeah, Logan's saying, the Russian news maybe drove prices down today. I did not see another red day coming, and I know George didn't either. And
no,
this was a tough one to have a nightmare red day on Thursday and then follow it up with a pretty strong red day on Friday across all the equities and in Bitcoin. This was a tough 2 days.
Bitcoin. 39,993.
That's where it's at right now.
Yep.
Let's zoom in. This is the 30-minute chart. Yeah, I'm looking at this. So for me, I'm looking at this line right here at 39,600-ish. I'm hoping we can hold this line. It looks like we've been trying to hold it for hours here, but it's a long weekend.
Well, that news just came out too.
Well, any big geopolitical news could have a very short-term effect on Bitcoin, and that might be just what's going on here. I don't know what, or you know what? Bitcoin pulls back 10% all the time, as do all these cryptocurrencies. So it feels awful, especially when the miners trade as a leveraged play on Bitcoin. So, it's particularly difficult to have a volatile asset and you're leveraging it. But you're leveraging it through equities, which is radically different than what some people do, which is just straight up leverage Bitcoin and lose all their money. Well, I don't know if he took over the world, Jeff. Maybe that was an exaggeration, but he's the people at IBM. There's a documentary out there where they interview the entire board of directors, and they're still not over it. They made the worst deal anybody's ever made. They made a gigantic tactical mistake, and the rest is history. I mean, Microsoft is 30 times as big as IBM, and at that time IBM was the biggest company in the world. basically they were laughing at Bill Gates at the concept of, a home computer. So they thought that was ludicrous and a pipe dream. So they signed something they really should have never, ever signed.
Well, I got to eat dinner. I got to wrap it up.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, sorry it was a tough Thursday and Friday, everybody. Try to have a good weekend anyway, and thanks as always for joining us on the live stream, and thank you so much for everybody that watched the interview. I really appreciate that. If you haven't watched it, check it out. Obviously, the more you guys watch that, it helps me get more interviews, so I appreciate everybody's views and comments, etc. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend.